Microphones are on. Yes, I think. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Carolyn Hobson.
Here.
Anna Murphy.
Here.
Callie West.
Here.
Sean Henry is not here. Carrie Wiesen.
Here.
Michael Brennan.
Here.
Audrey Roth is not here. Carl Ayers.
Here.
Keith Cole.
Here.
All right. Next, we'll do approval of minutes from June 4th. Did anyone get a chance to review and have anything to change, or do we remember June?
I was not here, so I can't speak to.
Me either.
I didn't see anything. Am I the only one that was here? Oh, you and I. Yeah. I can motion to approve the minutes.
Were you here?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't have any issues.
Okay. I would rather have you second,
second them.
just
Yeah,
because I
second.
wrote the minutes.
Yep.
So, okay.
Minutes are approved. Let's see here. Next up, we have public comment on non-discussion items. If anyone has any public comment on... Sure? You sure? Yeah.
My name's Donald Keck. I live at 209 East Michigan Avenue, right across the south side of Pioneer Park. I was on the Planning Commission and was along with Chris Thorne at the time when the expansion into Pioneer Park. I took a walk around Pioneer Park. It's about 98% done. So on the north side, there's a couple no man lands. The weeds are like 3 feet tall. Nobody's really claiming it. It's landscaped where the develops are, but then there's these odd spots that are still, and nobody's really taking care of it. And like I said, the weeds are about 3 foot tall, and the grass hasn't been mowed. 2/3 of the north side of the park, when we approved it, that was back in 12 or 13, was Bruce Fickle, or Doc Fickle, was alive still then. He donated all the land and the water rights to water the park, and that included the north side. And I was talking with the maintenance guys out there, and the south is raw water, but the north isn't. And Doc Fickles donated all that because that was his development, and he sold it off. So the original plan was it was already what was going to be developed over there, and it seems to be kind of misguided now. So because of these little, they don't know what they're doing, where the end of the road is, and nobody's taking care of it. Goes right up to the grass of the first house, and it's all on the east side, northeast side of but the park around the pond isn't finished, and that was one of the things we didn't want to see, is it not being finished. And that portion of it, because we planned for it back then and made sure that the grant money that was used to build the addition onto the park, the regional park, was that's how the mounds came about, was because they couldn't use any grant money except for digging the pond, and they had to put the dirt somewhere. But it actually turned out to be a really nice feature in the park. So, or else it would just be flat grass like it was before. So I know they've had some problems with the irrigation system, but I know 2/3 of it's installed, so on the north side. So it's a matter of just getting, I don't know if you need to apply for another grant and just to finish it. And that would be my, coming back after about 3-year break. That's when I'm out walking, it just doesn't feel still finished. And I don't know when that's going to be done. So, and I also was talking at the fair. They're building a big amphitheater out there down at the fair, and I was talking to Kate, the sales manager for the ranch. I was trying to diversify, because I know they want to build. I set through for the farm project to the north. And I know there's a park out there and they want to build an amphitheater and all this, but maybe look for county money for that. Because it seems like the county's putting everything at the ranch. And maybe that's something we need to look into. All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Also, thank you for the comments. Just what's going on out Pioneer. The maintenance guy might have had something wrong. The north side is non-pot as well. What's different is it comes from an HOA run pump house, and maybe they don't understand that yet properly. So it might have just been the wrong guy. So it is the neighborhood and the new park is water just from a different pump than what the other portions of the park are. So it is a unique situation that we're working through over there. I believe one of the pieces you talked about with weeds is ours. Our staff's working on a design for some type of walk-around garden right there. That was something missed between the town and the developer, where I think each of us thought it was each other's portion. Yeah, I think they're. I don't know what type of garden, but some type of garden to walk around. That's gonna be nice, and because it does run right into us. That's the dead end portion right up by the street, and then there is another segment north of that. That is the HOA portion. They have that portion, and then around the pond, it does look like it's not finished, and that's because that dirt will not take seed, solid and clay. So it's getting reseeded here soon too. So hopefully we'll address some of the concerns. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But thank you for sharing the comments.
Keith and maybe Carl, like this might be something to take with the board when they're looking at approving developments. It sounds like this is an issue that we kind of had the last meeting when we had that gentleman come and he was talking about the path at Heritage Ridge and how there was kind of this no man's land there, where there was this meeting of where the HOA is responsible versus the town, and kind of things are getting left undone. And I don't know if that's something that might be addressable with the developers or the HOAs or however, because it sounds like in both cases we've had the issue that the HOA maybe is responsible for a piece that's not getting taken care of. Is that fair to say?
And those just go to our code enforcement to monitor that. The Heritage Ridge one is a little different in that they put a trail in before we had trail standards, and they used a really soft surface material. They did go back and try to refix that. I don't think they technically had to keep that trail in any way or something, but they're not putting it back. Some of those phases, I guess, messed with it and didn't put it back properly. And so we don't have any property on that side of the trail or within Heritage Ridge with our trail. We do have connecting pieces in there. But yeah, that one's just kind of stuck because the standards weren't there at the time.
People walk out to go fishing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We do try to, if we do see those social trails start getting made, we sometimes do. Yep.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question to you? There's a lot of fairs going on this time of year. Which fair were Larimer County? Okay, out by the ranch in Loveland.
They have the expansion to the north going on, and they had listed a amphitheater. So she was the sales manager for the Blue Arena now. She's trying to sell it. But I asked her about it because the rodeo queen who was with her lives out by Iron Lakes. I just thought they could. The county doesn't seem to diversify to the smaller communities. Like an amphitheater would be great in Berthoud for like the summer festivals, like that, and a reason to come to it.
Thank you. Any other questions or any comments? Okay, we'll move on to our first discussion item, which is the community golf project. Jeffrey McNair.
My name's Jeffrey McNair. I live at 1637 Mount Meeker Avenue here in Berthoud. When I first heard that my little town of Berthoud was getting a golf course, obviously this was some years ago, I was really excited. As a PGA professional, as a longtime golfer, I was thrilled to have a golf course in my backyard. It was fun to get to watch it grow up. I got to go play it before it opened. The quality of the turf is amazing. The views are spectacular. It's a really interesting golf course, much more interesting than a lot of the golf courses that we see around generally. So what's the problem with such a great place like that? The problem is not anybody can go play over there. The rest of us would like to go play at this wonderful place, but we can't because we're not members and it's very, very, very expensive. And that's great. It's a great addition to our town. I love what they bring in terms of revenue. I know some of the playing professionals that come through on a yearly basis. I spent Monday during the tournament week this year volunteering, teaching little kids how to chip and putt. It was fantastic. I love doing that sort of thing. I love that this place is in our town. But my vision sees something for, frankly, everybody else. Let me give you a little bit about myself. If you watch golf, you know Rory McIlroy completed the career Grand Slam this year. He won all 4 majors, and that's his race. Well, this is my race. So I started working on a golf course when I was in college, string trimming, raking bunkers. I took my first turf internship. I spent 3 days scooping dead carp out of the lake because there was a chemical spill upstream, and that was very much a character building experience. I did a grow-in at a very high-end, prestigious private club before moving over into the professional side, where I've worked as a teaching professional for the last 6 years. Before that, I was also a club professional. So I've seen this industry from a lot of different angles, and I see what golf has been doing. Certainly since COVID, golf has gotten much more popular. So the mission really is really quite simple, but I want you guys to know that the key word here is not golf. The key word here is community, okay? So we have an opportunity to do something that really benefits large swaths of the community. So what I wanted to do is find out what really the needs were. But before I got into that, I wanted to kind of figure out if we're going to do something like this, how can these 50 or so acres benefit the community beyond golf, of course, right? So how can we address open space needs for the community far beyond just the golf, but wildlife habitat? Audubon International certifies golf courses that dispose of materials properly, that use best management practices, that don't overwater, that don't put things into the soil that we don't want. We have a real opportunity to take some space that the town really wants to keep as open and green space and use it for that, but also in a golfy kind of way. I want to be able to partner with nonprofits. We have a great turf program at Colorado State University. We have an incredible professional golf management program at University of Colorado Springs. My son's actually going into that program. So being able to reach into these parts of the community and bring people in, not just to enjoy it, but to help run the place could be a fantastic. And then again, how am I going to prove to the people that are the detractors that don't like golf that this would be a worthy investment? So one of the ways that I wanted to do that is that I kind of did a little bit of research. So this is all data from the port survey that was sent out to all of us last year, and basically asking all the kinds of questions that we probably all saw. What do we want here in town? You're going to see the same things over and over: parks, trails. It looks like we didn't get through all of that. So it looks like maybe I'm not going to get all of the builds on that. All right. So imagine a lot of these slides that you guys helped put together that say we want parks, we want space. The town voted overwhelmingly to say we want the town to pay for it. It was some 3/4 of the respondents said we wanted the town to be able to invest in the community and into these parks and open space projects, trails. So here's my solution. And I've kind of worked, just for the record, I have worked with a few folks here in the town, so this is not me just flying in here blind. So a few of our town employees have been a part of this. So obviously the pandemic brought a lot of people back to golf, or to golf as an instructor, somebody who just teaches golf all day long. I see my lesson book is full for a long way out. It's hard to get a lesson. Everybody wants to enjoy this game. Everybody wants to be outside. Well, more people want to enjoy this game. More people want to be outside. But the problem is we don't have the facilities. We don't have the space. And the space we do have is really crowded, and you get really bad turf because everybody's trying to go to the same places. So there was a recent survey through the National Golf Foundation that said that almost 2/3 of public golf facilities said they were either at capacity or nearly at capacity. So this is obviously really hindering the game. And so my concept is a much shorter concept, a small property, really high impact, low inputs. Okay, so when you think of how we water golf courses traditionally, we'll run a main line and we're going to have all these herringbone lines come off of it, and there are sprinkler heads everywhere, and there are loops around the greens and loops around the tees, and there's water flying everywhere. That's not the only way to do it. We can do this without a lot of water. We can run our irrigation right down the middle, and the further out you get from the middle of the fairway, where you don't want to be anyway, we're not going to irrigate that stuff, so people can actually find their golf balls. The biggest thing to notice from here is there just aren't enough of these places, and the ones that we do have are really low quality. I'm not going to name names. We have some short course facilities around, and they're fantastic pieces of property, but they're really not that interesting for golf, and they keep a lot of people that would go to these places away from them. Okay, quick story. There's another reason why I want to talk about short golf courses. They're less expensive. You all know how much land and water it costs these days. Construction. So this is from 2001. There's a 3-year-old little tyke named Jake Payne, and he used his Snoopy driver on a 66-yard par 3, made a hole-in-one. Just under a decade ago, a former teaching pro named Gus Andreoni made a hole-in-one at the spry old age of 103. 125-yard par 3 in Florida. Guess what club he hit? It wasn't a Snoopy driver, but it was a driver. Okay? So we can do this for a long time and provide something for our community that can really benefit a lot of people for a long time. So these are the kind of people I'm talking about trying to benefit. These are some guys from my junior program that I helped start years ago. If we were able to run through all these pictures, you would see players who, frankly, you might see on TV here in a couple of years. There are some really good players that have come through. And player development is going to be at the heart of all this. I mean, we want this. You know, my junior program, we used to give every kid that joined the program, gave them a golf bag that had their name embroidered on it. And every Wednesday night, that's junior night. And these kids are all walking down there, and they all got their bags, and they're all having a blast. And it's an incredible thing to see. And they're never going to forget it. And coming back to this golf course that we have here, they do sponsor, or they are the home course for the Berthoud High School golf teams. Both of my sons played on the Berthoud High School golf teams. Myself and the other parents have spoken many times about how good these kids have it. And someday they're going to really appreciate it. They're going to look back and they're going to go, man, we really had it good, because I played a lot of golf courses that weren't really like that. So they are a really great supporter of golf here in this town, and I don't want this to think as something that's contradictory. I want this to be complementary to what they're doing. One of the things that will this build out? All right. So one of the things that the port survey mentioned, one of the slides talked about, some 8% of the respondents mentioned needing ADA compliant facilities. That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of people that can play golf. Okay, so like you see down at the bottom, there are some 6 million people that used to play golf that now have some sort of a disability, and part of our goal at PGA Hope is to try to get as many of those people back to playing golf as possible, getting folks outside. But it's not just veterans. It's anybody, and it's not just physical disabilities. There are a lot of things. We have an opportunity to really touch some people in the town that don't get reached out to probably enough. There's a golf course in Minnesota that was designed specifically so that these kinds of carts can get around unimpeded. So imagine a golf course with no formal sand bunkers. You know, like imagine one of these folks trying to get in and out of a traditional sand bunker. So if it's done right, we can do something really, really amazing. So part of the reason that I want it to be a shorter golf course, community. A shorter golf course keeps people coming together. This quote is not just a quote that I pulled off the internet. I actually have a very well thumbed copy of this book in my bag over here. Ask any golfer. They hate looking for golf balls. Why is it so hard to design a place that it's hard to lose golf balls? That I may never understand. Native grass looks great when it's blowing in the wind, but it's hard to find a golf ball in there. Demand for the golf course has gone up considerably, certainly. We want this to be fun. If we are gonna do this, we only get one crack at it. We're not Boulder Country Club. They can just do a redesign of their entire golf course and assess the members. That we kind of get one crack at this. But a golf ball is seldom lost on a good golf course. So here's what I think this would look like. Basically the opposite of what you see when you look at Augusta National in April, when green wall to wall and everything perfect is not what golf really is or even really should be. Golf is rough around the edges. It also is a lot easier to maintain when we don't have a bunch of mowers, when you can do it with a few pieces of equipment. We're going to use less water, certainly drought-tolerant turfs. The CSU turf program, they do studies. They did it at my old club where they would come out and they're doing turf studies to try to make sure that they're using drought-tolerant and disease-resistant turf grasses. A large putting course. This is not something that's often thought of, but it's become kind of a thing lately where people are doing these short courses and putting courses. So this is at Olympia Fields. This is in Chicago. The most popular one is probably in St. Andrews, Scotland. It's called the Himalayas, and it's 2 acres of just wonderfulness. It just rolls and mounds and balls all over the place, and you just see gaggles of people and dogs and kids, and it's a super delight. Should be a key intro to this. Like anybody that's new to golf, I mean, anybody can get a putter and putt a golf ball. I didn't even say in your hands. You don't even have to have hands, okay? This would be a great add-on, and our plans do call for some of this, okay? So I reached out to an architect. His name is Andy Staples. Well known in the industry. He literally wrote the white paper on community golf, and he's got several short course projects to his name. So I actually reached out to him, and he put together some concept sketches for us. Now, the first we had, with some help from a few folks from the town, we identified a few properties that had already been designated, would not have to be rezoned from an open space. So land that was already designated as such. So site number 1 is right over here off 287, right across from the bike park, which would be right here. Okay, there's the parking lot for the bike park. The other site is down at the south end of 5th Street where it dead ends before it hits right down at the Little Thompson River there. Both sites have advantages and disadvantages, and these are both just concepts, but both would include a driving range. Both include short course. The first site, I think you call this the Knievel property. This site, he's got a disc golf course implemented in that as well. He's also worked walking trails around, a path going underneath so we could park people for the disc golf at the parking for the bike park. So that we could, one of the things that was mentioned in that port survey was the linking of trails and being able to have things connect from one part of the town to another. And this serves a really logical way to do that, from the future ball fields to the bike park and to what I'm calling the golf park. Okay, to me, it's more of a park than just a golf course. The second site here, a little bit different, but it does include a few different things, but both are going to include a lot of the same kind of concepts: a large putting course, short golf course, driving range, and teaching and fitting facilities. The second site we made a little addendum to. We want to think outside the box. We don't want to be limited to just a smaller version of golf. If we're doing that, we're dead. We need to lean into what we are, which is unique and different and a fun and casual experience for a lot of people. This shows the golf course playing in reverse. So instead of teeing off on number 1 tee and you go play to number 1 green, you tee off and you go play from the clubhouse again, down towards 17 green essentially. We're not going to have that many holes, but the golf course plays backwards. So on Monday you come out and you go this way. Well, on Tuesday, if you come out, you're going to go play that way. Now we got 2 golf courses for the price of 1. And because there are 7 days in a week, every Tuesday, if that's your day to play, you're not going to play the same golf course every Tuesday. It also presents some really unique marketing opportunities. There's not a golf course like this in Colorado, and there are very few of them frankly in the world, much less here in the country. And that could be done with both. These are just concept renderings. The picture down over here, bottom left, that is a golf course in Oregon that is built on the Oregon coast with no formal sand bunkers. So much like the course I was telling you for our adaptive golfers, no formal sand bunkers. The most expensive thing to maintain on a golf course is a bunker, and they're really kind of unnecessary in a lot of respects. Certainly casual seating, just like a lot of the things. And again, the whole point is community. The whole point is to provide something not just for the 11 to 12% of the population who golf, but for everybody else. I mentioned the Audubon Cooperative Sanctuary for Golf Courses program. We would have that within 3 years. Certainly, we considered an extension for the Arboretum as another great educational opportunity. High school golf teams need training facilities. Our teams are always struggling here in town to find places, and they're going up to Cattail, and they're going over to the old course and see if we can get on 9. A couple guys over here at Mariana, and it'd be great to have a home place for our kids. Little Free Library, you can see it's got a park vibe to it. This is obviously a picture of a park, but that's kind of the vibe for the whole thing. And then, of course, some of the revenue streams that are going to bring obviously we're going to have to pay for this, right? So a lot of ways to bring in money, and again, a few things that are going to be a little outside the realms of traditional golf. Instead of somebody paying $15 for a bucket of golf balls, just stay for half an hour. You can hit as many as you want. Oh, can I stay for an hour? Yeah, sure. How about 2 hours? Hey, just stay all day. Golf doesn't have to be this stuffy thing that only old people do and that costs a lot of money and is really expensive to maintain and bad for the environment. I think golf's gotten a bad rap, and fortunately we're moving things in the right direction. So this is my vision for what I see, and I hope that the town would kind of get behind some of this and move this into the next direction, whether that's making a formal recommendation to the town to do some sort of feasibility study or whatever the specific next step is that you guys are going to know more than me. I guess I would leave it at that unless there are questions or comments or anything like that.
Okay. I have a question.
Ma'am?
You mentioned, I believe, that the concept would require 50 acres.
It wouldn't require 50 acres. These are about that or a little bit more. So the site 2, which I actually forget the name of the property, forgive me. That one's about 50. This one's a little larger when you count in the disc golf portion of it.
Okay.
But a traditional
it's just
golf,
as the reference that 50 acres, approximately 50 acres is needed, ideally, or that these
ma'am.
2 properties drive the concept that 50 acres
I
is.
think both. I think yes on both. I think that's going to be about what we would be looking at to pull off a project of this size. A traditional golf course is going to be more like 200 to 250 acres, for reference.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Well, my comment would be we are a big golf family. We've been members at TPC and we are not any longer. And trying to get my kid to a golf course, my 13-year-old would golf every day of the week if he could. And trying to figure out rides to Longmont or Loveland to do those things is tough. I actually, this idea came to mind. I mean, I just briefly when I was trying to make a tee time at a golf course in Longmont, and how nice would it be if we had a golf course here just last week. So, I'm all in favor. I've got kids on both the middle school and the high school golf team, both of which I have to transport to Loveland. They theoretically say that TPC is the high school golf course, but the kids aren't allowed to play on the course. So that's something that is neither here nor there. They're able to use the practice facilities, but not the course
and
itself,
their practice facilities are
which are great.
They're
Yep.
incredible.
Middle school,
That's what I meant. They
Yeah.
truly have it wonderful.
they do, and middle school
Great.
goes up to Cattail and the old course. And there's a lot of things that we have to transport our kids out of town for. My kids swim on the swim team and have to go to Loveland as well. So
Did not.
that's the nature of living in a small town, I suppose. But I think this is an awesome idea. I think, like I said, we're a big golf family, so I appreciate the value of a golf course and getting kids out there and adults and everyone alike. And so I think I'm in favor.
And I think we're really willing to think outside the box. The old course at St. Andrews is closed every Sunday, and it's just an open park. And people walk dogs and throw frisbees and take picnics and find the bunkers. And we could envision a scenario where every Tuesday the place is closed, or every Monday the place is closed, and it's just an open park. Again, the idea is not just for a small subset of the population that plays golf. But I'd love for everybody to play more golf. That's what I do. Ma'am,
And on the opposite end of the spectrum,
please.
I know nothing about golf. I've never golfed. My kids don't golf. So
Nobody's perfect.
if we can just if you can just bring this down to if you can just bring this down to my level, what am I looking at here? Are there less holes than a traditional
Yes, ma'am.
golf course? Are they shorter?
Sure. Yeah. Let me answer some of those questions. So, yes, there are fewer holes. So, a traditional golf course has generally 2 loops of 9 holes, totaling 18. TPC's Colorado's different, which is one of the things that's really cool about it. You get 15 holes before you get back to the golf course. We have 2 renderings. The one on the right is a 10-hole golf course, all short holes. The longest hole being from the back tees 218 yards. The first site has got long and short holes. We think that would probably end up just being shorter holes. So the idea, in other words, on a long golf hole, player's going to start off with the longest club, it's called the driver, and it's the big one that goes the farthest. We're trying to have less of that. We want shorter clubs. We want shorter distances, shorter walks. This is walking only. We would have some carts for folks that needed a cart, but it would be a walking only facility. It's kind of like walking through a park and just knocking a ball around. So yeah, it would be not knowing a lot of the traditional rules of the game of golf. We're going to try to break a lot of them anyway. We want it to be accessible, not just publicly to everybody in the public. We want it to be at a reasonable price. We want it to take a reasonable amount of time. If somebody wants to come over on their lunch break and run around the golf course real quick, they should be able to. We want them to be able to do that. So we want to be a lot of things that traditional golf is not, but with really, really great conditions and really great greens, because we want really good players too, and that's what people like me want. Really interesting golf. We don't like boring. We don't like round circles, straight lines. Just like anything in architecture, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a few questions.
Please.
Well, number one, I've always thought Knievel should be a golf course. It's just
It's a great name.
a
for
ways
it,
down the road, so it just
It's a great name.
doesn't come up much in discussion yet. But and I didn't know. I guess Keith, I didn't know the town owned that property near.
I'm not sure exactly which phase it's in the fortress either, but that Wilson property
Because
down
that's
there.
fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, that's-
Next, because that's where Trails of Creeks, whatever,
Yeah, and
Creekside will back up to.
yeah, because it's early in the process, I don't know how much specific information I can give, but
Okay, so it's not.
It
I
would
thought,
be-
did I miss something? Like when
no,
did when
yeah,
did we
and,
buy that property?
and it wouldn't be that chunk. The town is looking at purchasing basically the in between sections of the property owners are wanting to possibly develop it in the future or sell it, and so the town is trying to purchase sort of the non-buildable parts
the
as
floodplain
open
there,
space. But like I said, I don't. Details are
Okay.
being worked out.
I
and
was just
I don't know.
that caught my eye. Then for you, I was wondering, like I know rec centers are generally not profitable. Like that's a known thing. What about golf courses?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
like even like
And most of these,
Public
a lot of, well,
courses.
so certainly in a situation if the town certainly already owns the land, but yes, this should pay for itself.
okay,
Yeah, I mean when we're bringing in fees for every round of every time somebody makes a lap around the putting course or makes a lap around the golf course or pays their fees to use the practice facilities, gets a fitting, buys a golf club, buys dinner. Yeah, that's all going to pay
Okay.
for itself. Yes.
and then I'm just curious why you're calling it a short course versus a par 3, or like are
It's
they
the
one and the
same.
same?
Well,
Short course is not a par 3 though, right?
well, so a short course just could be just a long, just a more blanket statement versus a par 3 course. Then you would call maybe this site one that has short par 3s and par 4s. You might call that an executive course. Short course just kind of as a blanket. It's going to fit a little pitch and putt. It's going to fit a lot of shorter golf courses that are on smaller properties, and also because I don't want to say we need to have 9 or 18 holes. I want as many really good golf holes as we can get. If that's 12, 15, that's fine. If they're really good,
Yeah.
and I think that's how this thing will last for a long time, if it's really good to begin with.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
And the size is part of what helps keep it at a manageable cost.
yeah.
And is that a size that's useful to the high school golf team?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll answer that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The ability for players to go out and work on and work. I mean, they're hitting a golf ball. It's fun, right? To go work on their game. Yet, in a place like this where they can get a lot more holes in, as opposed to, if you go to like a Mariana Butte, another fantastic golf experience. You're only going to get you might only get 9 holes in here. Man, you might make two laps around this place, getting a lot of shots in, just because it's short walks from a green to a tee. When you walk off a lot of golf courses these days that are built around a golf cart mentality or a buggy, you get off the green and you drive to the next tee box. Well, that takes a while, and that if we're walking, that's even harder. So this is definitely designed for space maximization, if you will. And this is a concept. This is new to me. What you're telling me about this property here at the south end of Fifth Street. That's news to me. This is a concept. We would be glad to explore some other places. We love the idea of the Knievel property and how it kind of flows really nicely with the other parks that are already either built or being built. So, ma'am.
Just a couple comments. So I probably grew up in an opposite situation as Lauren. So I'm one of 5 kids. The first thing I ever won was a golf club set
Really?
at a clinic that I went to. But I only did golf for maybe a year or two because it was cost prohibitive for my family. And so I appreciate your presentation and just trying to reach a lot of, demographics, because it is very costly to do. So I appreciate that. Just with our town, we've been I feel like we've been kind of going in this direction of like, okay, there's a lot of private options, for example, for pools. And so now we're exploring a public option. So I appreciate also just like having that different perspective of having, yes, there's a private option, but it would be nice to have a public option as well.
And more to that point about cost, there's an organization called Youth on Course, and we raise money, and kids can play the golf course for $5. They can go to Common Ground in Aurora. They can go to all these golf courses and play them for $5. We don't really want it to be cost prohibitive, obviously.
I'm also aware that the USDA Agriculture Research Service has the National Plant Germplasm System. There is a gene bank on the Fort Collins, Colorado campus at Colorado State University, but they have a whole turf grass collection, and they are actively evaluating different turf grass genetics in the field in drought conditions to try to find drought-tolerant varieties or drought-tolerant genetics, for example, for golf courses. So I think that's one thing that I guess I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I think, of course, a big issue here is water.
Of course.
As we all know, I would imagine that non-pot would be part of this plan if it, whatever the next steps are, right? But I appreciate you also mentioning the drought-tolerant piece and just being conservative with water, because we all know it's no secret that golf courses use a ton of water, right? So, just appreciate your presentation, and thanks for also being creative and thinking outside the box too. I really like the reverse idea too. It's like having an inside-out swimsuit or shirt or whatever. It's like, get two uses out of one. So, just really appreciate it. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
I just have a few things.
Please.
First off, thank you very much. That was really comprehensive, and I definitely appreciate the fact that not only did you throw out a idea, you also came with the concepts. It's really neat to kind of visualize it. Accessibility and affordability definitely stood out to me because, I think you hear the word golf and you're like, whoa, I don't know if I can do that or not. I mean, I personally fly fish, and it's very similar in magnitude as well. One of the things that I definitely found interesting, I'm kind of sitting here already thinking about this, is just the Knievel property and really what that does in terms of visibility for our town. It's very, you mentioned going back and forth between Loveland and Longmont to go play golf, and all of a sudden, wait a second, there's an opportunity that isn't a TPC course, and I can go play here as somebody who plays at the game of golf, and I can look like a fool, and it's perfectly okay because I'm having a good time.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to be, several $100 in the hole for that. So that definitely is pretty exciting, and also just the tie-ins with all the other properties. So excited to kind of see where this goes.
Right, thanks for the feedback.
So thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a couple other questions. Keith, do we own the north end of that field?
That piece is owned by Heron Lakes, I believe. You can't see my screen.
Are you talking
The
about
other?
here?
Yep.
That's Heron Lakes.
Is that part of the project? I mean, I know these are concept plans, but is that part of where they're projecting to put their second golf course?
I've heard a lot of things over the years, so
Not
I'm
as
not,
I
I'm
understood.
not really
I'm sorry,
sure.
I'm gonna cut you off.
Oh, you're
No, that's
okay.
Not as I understood it,
Okay.
because I've seen some of their renderings about where they're talking about going around the lakes, but I don't believe, from my conversations with Chris, that was part of it.
And then it looks like there's parking out there too. Like you wouldn't expect that people would park
No, ma'am.
at
I'm
the
sorry.
bike park and
Forgive
walk.
me. Yeah. So the parking, they would come up County Road 19 here, and then right before this house, the road would come here, and that parking would be right in this range here.
But also have some sort of walking access under 287 would be great.
Yes, ma'am. Right here, we have it here, and we have one here. Again, concepts. I mean, we think that it makes more sense for a disc golf course to be approached this way. There's a little pond here, but we don't want to encroach on this neighborhood. There's a little pond and a gazebo right here. We don't want to encroach on those folks. We think it makes more sense to be either coming from this way or parking here and walking the path down. That's what we think on August 6th.
All right. 2025.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Comments?
Yeah. Thank you, Jeffrey. Great presentation.
Thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was kind of just a new concept to share with y'all as we look at some of these properties we acquire. And some of them that we toured even last, a month ago, 2 months ago. And we think about we had these concept master plans from 2018, and some of these properties, it's kind of cool to see a different look for them. So it's an idea that does kind of interest us too, in having a city golf course, and this is a cool idea. Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
For you guys, nothing. You don't have to say. You don't have to make like any big judgments. It's kind of digest it. It seems like everyone's pretty interested in it still, so it might be something we keep talking about.
That's fantastic. Thanks for your time. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda, Newell Farm Park conceptual design.
Okay. Okay, got it. So I will give a short introduction on Newell Farm Park. I believe most of us are aware of this property. And then I'm going to open the floor to Sarah to share a further presentation for you all. So this property, if you don't know, it's on the east side of town, east of County Line Road. Our Green Lawn Cemetery is right here. Yep, you can see that. And then the Newell Farm property is right here. The town acquired this property a couple years ago, and then there was also a proclamation created for Newell Farm that was read off, and it explains the property, the current owners that still do live on the property, or the former owners, and it's sold to the town, but they still live on the property. The events that they held out there, and the hope that the continuation of those events occur. And so I'm going to briefly, well, yeah, I guess I do have a couple more. This is, as I understand, Sarah and Butch started this process with this property not just a couple years ago, it was before that. So this has been an idea they've been thinking about. They had their own conceptual site plan created in 2019 to kind of show how this property could, I guess, make that event that they hold every year, their farm concert every year, make it a greater experience for the outdoors. And I'll let her go more into that because I don't want to miss anything with that. So why this has come up recently, a little on the agenda, it is something that the town conceptually, we have been thinking about the concept design, and when we actually have time to fit it in. We hadn't money budgeted this year to do a conceptual design, and assumed it was probably going to pop in sometime this fall once we finally got through Jaskowski. Once the Arboretum was supposed to be finalized, or likely around July. So internally, we've talked about the property. We have talked with one consultant. You all know Wink. As we worked on the Arboretum, we've talked with them a little bit about what it would take to design a property, including an amphitheater and maybe a community arts center. So at the last board meeting, the development that is around the property was a neighborhood master plan was approved, and this is the Farmstead third filing. This development, there's no labels on the map, but we have single family homes. And I believe this area would include a little commercial, and I believe some townhomes up here along the property lines. So the town owns this 12, 13 acres right here, not this portion. a few things going on with this whole area as it's being developed. We are along the highway, County Highway Road 56. So we have talked with CDOT regarding the property and access to the property and how that would all work. CDOT basically has these access plans, what that really means is the property has a residential access to it, and that means CDOT expects like 11 cars in and out of it a day, something like that. So usually they don't change those around. And I'm going off other developments down the road that have been declined, that have been trying to change from residential to commercial, and CDOT doesn't allow them to have that access, and they have to figure out different access into their areas. So knowing that, we've been trying to figure out how this property would work through here. So I believe this area right here is scheduled to CDOT to possibly be a signal intersection. And I think that would be something that would really take off if the future school site that's on the property down here ever took off. Again, I don't know all CDOT's plans or school district's plans with that. But that's just a little history of what's going on around the property, including the development. So the developer, they are going to move forward with, what I'm saying is the master plan was approved. And so I believe they can move into the next step. I'm on the planning department, so I don't want to go too deep into that. For us today, we just want to focus on Newell Farm property, and there will be a couple questions after to kind of what are we thinking about this discussion. One, does the port want to continue with the conceptual design for the property? And then just getting your general feedback on maybe future plans for this property cold. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Sarah Lincoln, and I'll flip over.
I'm Sarah Lincoln. I live at 236 East State Highway 56, which, as you know, is the home of Newell Farm Park. To clarify, we have a reservation of life estate that enables us to live in the park while it's being developed around us. And it's 13 acres, and 10 acres of that 13 are immediately developable. So the park, we can take advantage of 10 of those acres. The other 3 are kind of built on already with a farmhouse and a barn and that kind of thing. When we die, the town will own all of it. It just goes over to them, and so the farmhouse would become something else, maybe for the Historical Society or whatever. So just wanted to clarify that. This is one of the things to keep in mind, is that the town bought this in 2023, in January 2023, so about 2.5 years ago. And the vision for the park was always that it would be a music park. And one of the reasons is because we are the people who do the annual farm concert, and we've done that. Last year was our 22nd year. And if you think about it this way, that was a concept that we were trying to see if it would work, because we believe in music. We had a place to build an amphitheater in our backyard, which is in the music industry. So we wanted to see if the town would respond. And we're going to talk about how well they responded and how we know that an amphitheater and a larger, like a community arts center would really succeed here. It wouldn't cost the town. It could be profitable and also serve the community. And we want to make sure that we keep in mind the same word that was just said, which is community. So when you think about a community arts center, you may feel, in an amphitheater, you may think, whoa, we aren't going to be that highfalutin. We don't want to be that highfalutin. But these things can be built on very little space and can be done with community feedback, keeping our agricultural heritage in mind, and it can be beautiful. And so our whole intention here is community that you see, people who care, and there are dozens of people who couldn't be here because they're at the Historical Society fundraiser tonight. So let's just keep that in mind. So I'm going to talk to you about the vision, the original vision. But on the way, I'm going to talk about the history preservation and the amenities that are already there. As Keith pointed out, just keep in mind, this is at the intersection of County Road 1 and Highway 56. The property to the right this Lynn property, we've recommended to the town that they think about purchasing that so that they have that full left-right right away there that CDOT is planning to put there. But if not, you can turn right here, and then you can get out of here and go back to town through the neighborhood. And there's some pretty good feeders here. You can go up to this roundabout or to this roundabout and get back into town. Bottom line is we will work it. So that gives you an idea. If you're standing at the cemetery, this is what it looks like. You can see the farmhouse and the trees from the cemetery. So in case you're wondering what we're talking about here, it's that Cedar Shake house. That's what it looks like from Highway 56 with the red windmill. Now let's go to the port survey that you all did. I think it's important to keep in mind that not only was the outdoor pool in the top 4 as far as priorities, an amphitheater was. And one of the things that you might ask if you're not in the music business is why Town Park, or the little amphitheater that's being thought about for Town Park, or why the little music venue that's being thought about is a little music shelf that's being thought about for the Arboretum. Why that doesn't suffice. Because those are great when you have an event that's about something else and the music is in the background. And you get local artists who are willing to change their clothes in their car and go to the bathroom in portalettes. If you want international or national shows, things like the Riders in the Sky, to sing, Woody's Roundup to your kids, from Toy Story, they need dressing rooms and they need restrooms and facilities where they can actually spend the 4 hours it's going to take for everyone to gather and for them to do their show. So we're talking about an amphitheater is something that, even though it can be small and accommodate just exactly what Berthoud needs, it also has to accommodate the musicians. Otherwise, they won't come. It's part of their contract. They will not come. And they definitely will not come back. So you can pay as much as you want, but they won't come. So there's the difference. And so let's keep in mind, amphitheater is one of the priorities. And so outdoor pool was there, but amphitheater was there. The other thing to keep in mind is the rebranding findings. We just did the rebranding survey, and I want to talk to how the park speaks to these. The two I've outlined here are agriculture, heritage, and scenic beauty, particularly rural identity. That's the whole point of Knoll Farm Park. And you'll see that in just a second. But the new thing that came out was the visual cues, like the grain elevator. It turns out that we really love our visual cues, like old houses, like grain elevators, like farm fields, like big old trees. We love this. And so Newell Farm is all about that. And if we build an amphitheater and or a community arts center, it will have visual cues that will honor a rural identity, and you'll see that. Then is the other one that I circled is parks, trails, and events. We're talking about community traditions there, and like Berthoud Day and Oktoberfest. Well, the farm concert has become a tradition, and we would love it to be a community tradition, and we need a bigger facility to enable that to happen. Not enough people can get in. And so we'll talk about that in just a second. So this is what we'll address is the rebranding, and we feel that it fits in really well. So who are the people that this is named after? This is Ernest and Rose Newell. They lived on the farm from 1899 to 1957, so almost 60 years. Now, the farm could be named after other people who lived there as well, but why are these people important? Well, they're the longest running, but in addition, Ernest, he raised tens of thousands of sheep on this farm, and we can still talk to people in Berthoud who understand and remember all the sheep going down Main Street and getting boarded onto the trains. And there are people in town who went to church with Ernest and Rose. He was a town historian, and that's really important. So Mark French, who is here tonight, the prior president of the Berthoud Historical Society, has tons of pages of Ernest's works talking about the town of Berthoud. and what has gone on here. And Rose was a leader. She had her own money when she married him, and she did a lot of things with that money for the town. But the other thing to think about is that the reason the town bought it wasn't just because it was historical, but because it was a farm park that would mirror or bookend Wagner Farm Park. So the thought was you have Wagner Farm Park as the gateway on the west, Newell Farm Park is the gateway on the east, and therefore, no matter what gateway you come through, you understand that this town is about farms and agriculture. So the question is, what will be preserved? What were the visual cues? The one thing that will be preserved is the farmhouse. So the farmhouse will always be there. They may change the siding, etc., but that is part of the agreement when the town purchased it, that the farmhouse would remain in perpetuity. In addition, there's a trifecta here. There's a triangle. The granary that you see on the left is built in the early 1900s. It stowed all kinds of grain, including corn. That will be kept. And then the little cistern that you see in the back, it's a concrete cistern, water cistern, that allowed the water to be raised so it created water pressure. That is also going to be preserved. So even if these buildings you see here are torn down, those will not be. Even if there are picnic tables put here or whatever is put here, those buildings will always be there to help us with the visual cues, understanding what happened here and how important it was to Berthoud. It is to Berthoud. Another thing that was important in the rebranding was the fact that our mountain views, we have mountain views just like everybody else, but one thing we learned, Lauren and I were in the same focus group, is we love our mountain views because they are framed by farm fields, not intersections and buildings. We love the fact that they are framed by old trees. So preserving mountain views is important, and Newell Farm comes with those. And old trees. We love old trees, and boy does it come. Ernest and Rose planted many of these trees. Many of them, such as the one on the far left, are over 100 years old. And there are gardens. Now let's talk about the amphitheater that is a proof of concept, as we call it. It's 500 seats, and we sell out 500 seats in less than 10 minutes. That's how much people love this. And if we were to be able to house or seat 1,000 people, we absolutely know that we would sell out within an hour. And this is for $50 tickets. This isn't cheap. So it's profitable. You can do that. We try not to, it isn't about the money for us, so we don't worry about that. But it does show the proof of concept, which is we know if you bring in the talent that over 1,000 people would gladly come if we get it right and make sure that certain things are in place that enable them to enjoy themselves. Example, John McEwen from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band was just there, and yes, he did sing Mr. Bojangles. He was there last year. Michael Martin Murphy was there within the last few years, and yes, he did sing Wildfire. Baxter Black, who had been on Johnny Carson 11 times, was there and made us laugh so hard we could barely breathe. And then our own Acoustic Eidolon from Berthoud. They have been there since the beginning, all 22 years, and they play every 5 years or so, and it's wonderful. And then Riders in the Sky, as I said, people call them the Toy Story guys, but we have been asked dozens of times to please bring them back. And people would love it if they came back at the holidays and did all kinds of fun things for all of us. And since we only do one show a year, we can't bring them back every year. So we need a venue. Get them in. Now, this is the amphitheater and the stage. This is what houses 500 people. If you look at that, it's hard to believe that 500 people sit there comfortably, but they do. So if we wanted to get 1,000 people in there, double it a little bit, right? Just double it. That's not that much space. And believe believe it or not, this is an amphitheater. It is graded such that when you stand in the back where this photo was taken, you're even with the stage. So if you're in the back, you're looking above the heads of the people up in front of you, but you can barely tell. So we don't need a bowl, you know, we don't need a huge space. We don't need fixed seating. This could be a wonderful venue that people picnic on or get married on or whatever. And we can build an amphitheater like this. We just need to have the space to do something a little bit bigger. Now, one of the things that we want to keep in mind is one of the beloved things about this is that it's under these big old trees. Therefore, it has shade. So one of the showstoppers is going to be that the amphitheater that we would recommend be built to seat 2,000 people, and let me explain what that means, would have shade structures, at least until the trees got big enough. So first 15 years, and that's very doable. We've talked to people. Shade sails that would be put up for shows that would allow folks to sit in the shade during the show, could take the wind, and then be taken down so that the grass can grow, etc., you know, when the show's over. Not a hard thing to do, but we definitely need to do it, and therefore no one's sitting in the sun. So let's move on, and then I'll comment more as we go. So as Keith pointed out, we had Butch and I, my husband Butch and I, had an original concept drawn up in 2019. We've been at this since 2017, so for about 8 years, holding this vision because we received so much feedback from people who said, not only do we want to make sure we get into the farm concert because it's our favorite event every year, every summer, but could you do more shows, please? And we just can't do more than one. But they would love a summer concert series. So there was part of us, as we started to go to the town, we wanted to create a festival site. So if you look at this, there's a bigger amphitheater here in the southwest, and then there's the amphitheater we just showed you, which is in our backyard. So that amphitheater could be built, and that amphitheater right there would seat 1,000. But we're not going to put in, it's out of date. We don't believe a lake is appropriate, and there would have to be different parking, etc. So that's one concept that still could happen, and it doesn't cost that much money to build an amphitheater. It really doesn't. We're talking less than $1 million for sure, probably less than 500,000. So it's something that can be taken care of readily. And let's move on and show how that fits into the farmstead development. That's how it looks from afar. Let's have a close-up here. If you were to go ahead, that is all developable property. And so that could be put back there like that. And yes, there was a letter from Farmstead saying they wouldn't want the amphitheater facing south, etc. But there's room in there for negotiation. You want an amphitheater facing certain ways so that sun doesn't blast people during certain parts of the day. It's okay. We know what to do. We will figure it out. And we'll do it with community involvement. So that's one concept. Now, pay attention that on the east side, we can all look at the fact that there's 7 acres over here that can also be developed into something. That could contain the amphitheater. That could contain the community arts center. And you could combine them together if we wanted to do that. The feedback we're getting is that the amphitheater is a high priority, like tomorrow. People would love it for this summer. We didn't do the farmer concert this summer because of that little baby. And people are realizing, wow, my enjoyment depends upon a family. Let's have it be a town event. And so amphitheater is a high priority. Community Arts Center could come later, but we'll talk about what that looks like. So this is what the farm field looks like. That's the 7 acres to the east. That's Newell Farm, looking at Newell Farm, looking west from the edge of the property. There's a lot of space there. There's a lot of things that can fit in there, including plenty of parking. Now, that's the amphitheater. Let's talk about the Community Arts Center. The original vision was that it would look like a barn and that everything on the property would have a rural feel. Didn't matter if it was a stage or whatever, right? So the Community Arts Center would be a big dairy barn and inside would be a visitor center. And you would be met with the little museum. Maybe you would talk about not only the town of Berthoud, but the Newells. And then one of my favorite pieces they put from the community was, and build a silo and have an elevator up to the top where you get 360-degree views of all the fields. Wouldn't that be quite an attraction? And wouldn't that be fun? And then we've heard things like, and you could have a climbing wall in there. Why not? And then the theater, where we would propose it be a 750-seat theater, just because we know a 500-person show is easy peasy, right? You bring in writers, you will get 1,000 people. So there will be people disappointed. Easy, riders in the sky. There are acts like that would bring money to the town of Berthoud without question. So we're proposing 750-seat theater, but think about this: if you go into the door, instead of going up into the theater, you would go down into the earth. So the theater would be underground, which would enable it to be heated and cooled better, more easily. And the sound control is easy then, etc. And then all the ground floor and anything above the ground floor would be community rooms. So we could have a large community room for the Berthoud Bash. So many people in town try to get a hold of New Freedom to do something for free, or they go to, Grace Place and they pay for, their space. And instead, let's make that available via the community center. And perhaps you combine it with a senior center and whatever else the community says that they want. So that's the original vision that we have been carrying for all of us for 8 years. And I'd just like to ask, for those of you here, if you're here because this is of interest to you, would you raise your hand? And would you put your money behind it? Would you raise your hand? Right. So, and then you'll hear from some of these folks. So the conclusion is, just so that you have the list, a 2,000-seat amphitheater, but let me talk about the amphitheater just a little bit more. You saw the lawn that would be required for 1,000 seats. Easy, not much. Half acre. What we're thinking, and the feedback that we get, is that on the edges of that lawn is sprawling space that is like parkland, where families can sit on a blanket, have their camp chairs, have their cooler, have their stroller, and there's a splash pad nearby that their kids are not bored, they're safe, and they can look at the splash pad, watch their children, and watch the music, have a picnic, maybe playground equipment. So in other words, it's surrounded by park, and they can be in the park and they can hear it. That's part of the 2,000. That's what we're talking. We're not talking chair by chair by chair by chair. You would have a core group of people that would sit near the stage, and then a whole bunch of families that would need to have room. That's what we're looking at. And then, of course, plenty of shade. And then the Community Arts Center, Visitor Center, View Silo, Theater. And we have a local theater company called Moon Theater. They have to go to the Rialto. That's sad, because we could house them. We could help them. We would maintain view corridors and keep the visual cues. Everything could look like barns and outbuildings and such. And there's plenty of room for parking, and there's bike trails already coming into the development. They just be extended, not a problem. They go right by the park. And tons of amenities, and we would get public feedback. And then we could create community traditions, like summer concerts. Annual, the farm concert could be moved here. And how about annual holiday events? Wouldn't that be fun? So I wanted to let you know that out of the trust, that there is a favorable tone toward this concept of a music park for Newell Farm Park. And it starts with the trustees. 5 of the trustees literally bought the farm. Right, Carl?
Mm-hmm.
You bought the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when they did, they knew exactly what was there and what we were thinking. This will not surprise them. So the question is, do we want to go on with the conceptual design, given that Farmstead is starting to surround? That's the point. It could be put off for a bit, but now we should really think about it because farmstead developers are pushing back, going, "Oh, we don't sound." But the newest trustee, he's been to many farm concerts, and he knows. And he said, "I love that place, and I wish more people could get in. More people, more shows." So what we want is we want to know what we're doing here so that we can work with the developer and get what we want. I'll give you an example. At the last meeting, trustee meeting, they did two things that were fantastic for this vision, and then they lost something, and forever. One of the things they did that was fantastic was they said on the plat for the farmstead residents, anyone who buys, they will be warned that they are buying property near a music park. There will be sound at times, and they will be given recourse because it'll be controlled. They won't go past a certain time at night. It won't be above a certain dB level, etc. But the point is that they will be warned. That is in the plat. That will happen. The other thing they did was they asked for the houses to the west of the park to be restricted to single story so that the view to the west has a chance of being appreciated. What they lost was that they wanted, before they asked for the provision, to know exactly where we needed that view corridor to be and exactly which houses needed to be restricted. But they didn't have time. So they guessed. And they guessed well. And what they did was they gave us something to negotiate with, because the developer does not want to do that. And so if we have a conceptual plan and put this in the process and make it more of a priority now that they're pushing on us, we have something we can do to talk with them. We know what we want. And a conceptual plan can change, but it gives us ammunition, it gives us teeth. And that's why we're asking. And the part of the RFP process and part of the conceptual plan development process is getting feedback. So whoever wins that bid will be talking to you, and we'll be talking to you and all of us, and we'll have an opportunity to look at things, look at the plans, and then give our feedback. And so we'll know that the community gets around this, and we'll look forward to it, and then we'll be able to talk to the developer with that strength. So thank you. I appreciate you giving us the time. And the next steps will, Keith will outline next steps. There's going to be some discussion at the trustee meeting next Tuesday. And they want to know what you think. And I'll be here to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Anybody have questions or comments to start?
I'd just like to clarify, I've heard two different capacities for the outdoor amphitheater, one being 1,000 and one being 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Could you clarify what's what, please?
Yeah, 1,000, when we talk about 1,000, those would be the people who would gather around the stage and actually be the core group. And we believe that Kelly, they would be the people who would come all the time, given our experience. And so let me get to that slide and show you. So the 1,000 is the devoted people who come and gather there. Then if you create a park around it that allows sprawl, then you end up with people on the fringes who are watching their children at the splash park and who are having picnics on blankets. Those are part of the 2,000, and it reaches out into the park so that folks want to be able to use it when it's not an amphitheater. We don't want to close it up. It needs to be a field that you can put up. It needs to be a field that you can put a big picnic in if you want to rent it. You could put volleyball nets. You could play informal baseball. You could have, you see? Yeah. So you don't want to restrict that. But in addition, people are really good here at putting camp chairs down. We learned that. They do it well, and they do it politely. So no need to go to the expense. Any other questions?
With the constraints and the concern for view corridors and things like that, I mean, looking at the conceptual plan that you had, would it make more sense to put the amphitheater to the east of the existing buildings?
You know, I think we need to let the professionals work that out. You know, I'm getting there.
Just in terms of the neighbors and the space and that kind of a thing, is it?
We don't know. We don't know because here's the thing that we know about working with professionals. You know, we worked with Roger Sherman from BHA Design, and so we do know that as part of the RFP process, BHA Design will be one of those who throws their hat in the ring, as well as Wink. Looks like I went too far, but one of the things that we as professionals don't understand, as non-professionals don't understand, is how flow works when you have a community arts center and you have an amphitheater and you have amenities like a splash park or whatever else you decide and the community decides needs to be there. Could be maybe some fields need to be there. We don't know, right? But we don't understand flow. We also don't understand parking and how to keep it from being a problem or ugly. Their parking is one of the biggest issues for people. And you want it close, but not too close. You want it convenient, but not in the way, you know, that kind of thing. So what we've learned is that you basically say to them, look, that's one possibility because that's buildable. And then you talk about, we get all the feedback, we talk about it, and then they propose several renderings. And this might be one, and then another might show the amphitheater on the east. The tricky part of having it on the east is that the views to the west are blocked by the 90-foot trees from Knoll Farm, right? Trees do block views. But the southwest view is amazing, all the way down to Pikes Peak. So maybe that's good. So they would come out and they'd look at all that, and then they'd help us understand what they're doing there. And then we could decide. Other questions, Carl?
Unless anybody else. I had a parking question. Do you guys recall how many cars for 500 people generally?
Yeah, 500 people was about 200 cars.
Okay.
200, 210? 210 cars to be exact.
And then
That's our parking. That's our daughter who knows all these things.
And then the block that's blocked off in the northwest corner, is that as it exists today? Is that the parking lot?
Yes.
That's today. It's that area.
Yes,
So
it's a farm field.
So that fits about 250 cars, that section.
That fits about 230 cars.
Okay.
Yep. And the Mountain Avenue plan would say that you don't put any pavement near 56, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why farm field parking is really a good idea. But there needs to be some parking towards the back, and as you see, there's some parking in here, and it would be changed to accommodate more, especially when the lake is removed. But does that answer your question, Carl?
It does, yeah. Thank you.
230 cars, no problem. Okay, 230 cars, a little bit of a problem. Yeah, a little tight. Yeah.
So with the concerns, like Keith was talking about, that the entrances on the property are residential entrances with average of 11 cars coming in and out, and if we do a concert series or any form of events or have an event center, obviously this parking lot wouldn't be enough for anything like that. Where do you envision parking being?
That would be when they design the overall flow, they would include a lot of parking in that. Plus, people will park in the neighborhood.
Well, that's what I mean, like with the access. So that access that it's showing on this plan wouldn't necessarily be the main access. Is that?
That's
fair to
correct.
say?
This access will not be the main access. It would be, they would probably want to change it, and they would do a change of use. And with the change of use, it would not be residential anymore. They would allow more, especially when a town comes to CDOT and says, we're going to do this. They would allow more, but it might be a right from Highway 56.
Right.
Okay, and then they would funnel parking, and they would funnel the cars we would have sheriffs help us, and the cars, when they leave, they would be taken through the neighborhood out to County Road 1, and then there's all kinds of options once you get to County Road 1. Or you could go out and go to the highway and head on out to I-25. So bottom line is it's very workable. And that's one reason why we're encouraging the town to buy the lot to the east, because then they have a complete full access intersection.
To get out to County Road 1, not on Highway 56, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah, they
go
get
through
us
the
go through the
neighborhood.
neighborhood. And there's several really good feeders out there, along with their plan, along with roundabouts. On County Road 1.
Just a quick point of reference. Bertha Day this year, Chris Kirk estimated there were 7,000 people in Town Park. Where'd they park? They parked everywhere.
Fair.
But I mean, they had 7,000 people in the park. So, parking is always a priority, and it's always something to think about. And the last thing in the world we would want to see coming in from Highway 56 is a parking lot. So all the parking is on the back side of the park, no matter how it's laid out. I don't want to drive down 56 and see a parking lot.
The other thing to think about is the rec center. They have a parking lot, and then they have another parking lot that's dirt. So they have their main parking lot.
Yeah, they have the overflow lot.
So to Carl's point about parking, there's no reason why we can't have main parking with farm field parking.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we provide decent handicap parking somewhere, we can do all of that.
And we've got a tractor in case it rains.
Any other questions?
I have a couple questions. This art center concept, have you guys talked with the Bertha Historical Society about collaborating with them on?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they love the idea of having some of that space to store things, and they need office space. They're so tight, and they need to store some things, and they would love to run a museum and have their offices there, and then have the other satellite, sites in town, right? So yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a huge concert goer, but do people really need shade? I mean, can people just wear hats and
No. I've been in the business for almost 55 years now, and I'll tell you right now, people will not sit in the glaring sun. They just will not do it. Not for any amount of time.
And then my last question is, so you brought up a lot of different, you brought up your vision, but lots of different pieces to the vision. So what would your priority be for, what would you guys like to see if you had to pick between the art center, the amphitheater, this rolling park area? What would you guys want?
Given that the amphitheater was alongside the outside pool, and given that we cannot meet the needs of these folks, I mean, we could bring 50 people here. We just didn't want to overwhelm you. Okay, we would do an amphitheater, and we'd do it immediately after the Arboretum. I mean, we would put it right there so that it is within the next few years, so that it's there, and then do summer concerts, some paid, some free, and bring in really good talent. That's what we would do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to envision all of those things on your property. And so it would, if it goes to concept, it'd be interesting to see like a less is more approach. What if it was just the amphitheater as the centerpiece, and then the second approach would be with all the different pieces and how that would look.
Sure.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to visualize what both of those would look like.
That's fair.
with all the
Yeah, the main thing is to keep the vision active and to keep it moving forward. So it could be done in phases, could be done in several phases.
Well, what Anna's saying is don't even have a community arts center. Just have one concept meeting. It's an amphitheater.
Yeah.
With a park around it.
Yep.
And that's a valid piece of input. What will happen is, we would have different concept plans, and then the community would give an idea of what attracts them, and maybe that would be the winner.
Yep.
With the proximity to your house, I mean, do you see like the amphitheater area being open to the public all the time?
Absolutely.
Like having people wandering about?
You bet.
Yes. Yes, we like living in a park. And if they're
Fair.
there, that's okay.
I mean, we already live in the park. We the amphitheater that you see the picture of, that's in our backyard.
And if they're there, there can be split rail fencing that says, hey, please don't go beyond this point. And there will be people who jump it and let their dogs go through it. We know this. When we sold it, we knew this. We just didn't want to move. But the town needed it. So we came up with this approach. So we're cool.
My final question. With your history and your passion for the music and the concert, how do you foresee that going forward? Would you continue to manage those concerts and bring in the people, or is that? I mean,
That's entirely up to the town to however they want to staff it.
If they need us to,
if they need us to consult or as a talent buyer or whatever, fine. If they want me to consult on the acoustics, like I said, been doing that for 55 years, or bring in an acoustic architect, whatever works. It doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is to get it built and give the community a place to drive 2 miles or ride their bicycle out and sit on the grass and hear a great act. And, we showed 5 slides, 6 slides of the people we've had there. We've been doing it 22 years. You wouldn't believe some of the people that have been through there. Bernie Linton from the Eagles played there 1 year. Bill Kirchen from Commander Cody's band, and remember Hot Rod Lincoln? He headlined 1 year. The Haunted Wind Chimes, the Quavy Sisters. We've had some amazing talent come through there over the years. And people in town have shown us over that period of time that they'll support that. They'll support it because the shows sell out in 10 minutes. My God, if we had more room or more space or whatever, we'd do more shows.
questions, comments?
I have a comment, but are we going to wait till after other public comment on it?
I think you guys discuss and then you do public comment. I'm not sure.
What do you want to do? Our comments?
So you want us?
Just to back up Anna's comment about less is more, with the discussion of so many amenities and so many possibilities, which is a wonderful thing, I think, in terms of pushing through the vision. We've identified the public is supporting the idea of an amphitheater, but what I hear as the through thread from way back is music. So amphitheater and music venue, I believe, are the two standout amenities in terms of the near vision moving forward. And music can be proposed as a community health benefit,
Absolutely.
right? Like golf, like outdoor swimming pool. I mean, what music gives people in the community is a benefit and enhances their quality of life. So I feel like the music part of it has to be twinned with the word amphitheater in terms of the real value of what it's offering the community. And the other stuff are just bonus pieces that are future possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, since does yours also include a community arts center that has a theater that would enable shows in the winter?
I think it's just music. I mean, I think the second part of it is harder to figure out. If you can combine music with enjoyment of the outdoors, that's summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's sitting on the grass with your lawn chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, what, without the community really dialing in on what that means, my feeling is it's a place to hang out in the summer and hear great live music.
Great.
I have to sneak out to another meeting, but I just want to say I'm definitely in favor of moving forward with doing the conceptual design. I think all of it's great. We definitely need the amphitheater. I think concepts for another community gathering space, senior center. I'm part of the Bash, so certainly if we had a venue that we could host it in town
Yeah.
that could hold 300 people would be fantastic. So yes, I'm all for it. But
Okay. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thanks.
Yeah,
We're
I'll just
done?
add in. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Butch. I think we understand this is a unique situation in conceptual design that we've never tried to work towards with all the different things happening. I'm gonna bring this back up here so we can kind of focus. Like, what's the next thing? One is the port committee figuring out or deciding, do we agree to move forward with the conceptual design for the property? And then with the conceptual design, Sarah and Butch, I think the numbers and things they shared are like behind the scenes business numbers that are like, if you're going to have a place that's going to draw like good acts, these are kind of the numbers you need to bring in. So they do have a ton of knowledge with that they can share with us throughout the process. It does become a process where you guys are going to be more involved and more making the decisions, right? It is a town property and it's a port property to kind of make those decisions with. We do have Sarah and Butch that still live on the property. They have the vision that was kind of sold to the town for the property. So we're blending all this together now. We're blending in the outside of the property's not going to be the same. And there's a development that's expected out there. So how do we think about the future and the people that are going to be living out there as well? And when we get into the development things, I'm not a pro on our development code and things like that. So I don't like going down roads of trying to ask each other asking the developer for things and them asking us. I don't know what road we can go down with those. I don't. So I want to be cautious when we talk about, working with the developer. Now, I'm not sure what all those things are. And Carl might have a little extra to throw in as we're in that process. And I don't think it's as simple as like just ask the developer to do this. I don't think it's how it works. So I want to be cautious with how we work towards that. But I guess the first thought, I think we all kind of have the idea that the property would continue with the event and more events. And how does that work out? And that's what the whole conceptual design thing goes through. It takes them about 2 months just to kind of a consultant to dive into the property. It's usually about 8 weeks. And then after 8 weeks and having some discussion and them gathering all information of what's going on around the property, what can you build on the property, then you maybe start seeing some drawings within 10 or 12 weeks. That's typically how they've happened. So process-wise, 28, 32 weeks long for when you start this process off is what we hope for. The Jaskowski property is drug on a little longer. We know there's the easement on the property, or I don't know if you guys call it an easement or restrictions or whatever, but they're pretty wide open for anything that's not considered work. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun property to work on if that's something you guys all decide to move forward with. So that'd be the first step. And then we can talk about opening it up for public comment and all that. So just port, you guys can discuss. Is this a property we think we should move forward with a conceptual design on?
Do we want to hear the public comment first?
You can
decide on that?
You can do whatever you want with the comment.
Chair's
And sorry,
choice.
we don't.
I don't necessarily want to make a.
Okay.
I don't. It seems like most people are in favor here, but it would be nice to hear that.
Okay,
I would like to hear it before
I'm good with that.
we make a motion.
Okay.
Good with that. And then, sorry, we're not as official here. We don't have the sign-in sheet, so Lauren, you can navigate how to work that.
Sure, and I know we've gotten some. We've
Oh.
have some emails in front of us from folks as well, with information. We would appreciate public comment if there's anything that hasn't been said that you'd like to add or that you'd like us to know. And step up.
Here, this is all back when I was on the planning commission. We didn't go quite that far, but Bebo had done everything, and I came for the farmstead. I was disappointed with the trustees. When a developer comes in 7 times to the planning commission, and then they take 2 hours to decide on it, the trustee Harder hit it on the head. The tree canopy is going to over the top of the 2-story buildings eventually after 20 years. So why did we limit the site view? Because in 20 years, the tree canopy is going to be above the site, the 2-story building anyway. It's right over in Pioneer Park. All the trees over in Pickle Farm development are higher than the house, so you can't see it anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So, and they were rude to the developer. Okay, they didn't give him a chance to comment. And he probably lost $2 million in that decision. Because all those houses are small and they're designed to be 2 stories, 3 stories with the basement. So, but back to, I could see splitting the farm, but back when Pioneer Park was going, we were going to rename it for Staff Sergeant Justin Bauer and kind of make it more of a veterans park. But that was shut down because the proximity to 56, which is already named for him. So the additional, the farm and the music venue, fine, call that Newell Farm, but maybe make a veterans park and get some federal dollars in and grant money and just name it after the Staff Sergeant Justin Bauer. Because I don't know, Mark, you probably tell me they never did that. They were supposed to do it over here, but they never did it. I think Shepard was the trustee. But there's nothing for veterans in Berthoud. So and I'm a veteran, and I have to go all the way to Fort Collins to go to Veterans Park.
For a veteran memorial at Town Park on the north.
Well, I'm talking having the full, all the service flags and the emblems and maybe a flagpole. We started back. There's a lot of veterans from Berthoud, and the only place that we gather is the cemetery. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I promise we did not write our speeches together, although it's going to sound like we did. It just goes to show that us as a family, we share a lot of the same values when it comes to the town park and music. So good evening, members of the port, Keith and Carl. My name is Casey Grace. I live at 2188 Cadman Street. I'm honored to speak tonight on behalf of Newell Farm as the operations manager and as a citizen of Berthoud for more than 15 years. It warms my heart to see the amount of support from our community around Newell Farm Park and its next stages of development. The letters have been pouring in, which I'm sure you can see here, from the citizens of Berthoud, but also from people all the way down to southern Colorado. And tonight, we have many friends of Newell Farm here present. The annual Newell Farm concert has been a staple in our community for over 20 years. This concert was started by Sarah with a group of her friends and has continued to grow into a well-sought-after event year after year. I started working the farm concert in high school and have been a member of the volunteer team up until 2021, which I took on an more active role behind organizing the concert behind the scenes. So now I'm the member running around making sure everything is smooth so that these guys can host and be hosts of the concert. But every year when we're walking around, Sarah and I walk around and we're talking with the folks who attend the farm concert, we hear from them how beautiful the location is, how calm and peaceful it is to attend the annual farm concert, and how much people appreciate being a part of this gem of Berthoud. So what if we could offer this gem of Berthoud to our Berthoud community more than once a year? That's what a community performing arts center would bring to this town. So our current outdoor amphitheater, as you've seen through the slides, can seat 500 people, but there's room to make it 2,000. And for reference, like my dad pointed out, Berthoud Day hosted upwards of 7,000 people at Town Park. So it's absolutely possible to do it here. But the Performing Arts Center could bring back towns like Riders in the Sky. It can also be home to the Berthoud schools to hold concerts or plays, or host our local talent like Acoustic Avalon. I've heard firsthand from the community that they enjoy driving only a couple of miles through town to be able to listen to music instead of having to leave town, go to another town or go to another city. It is something that we are missing from our offering to the citizens of Berthoud. Though the town has come a long way from when I was in high school. Now we have a rec center that has pickleball courts. We have the new town park with a wonderful splash pad. Now we have an opportunity to add a performing arts center. So tonight I'm asking you to consider a recommendation to the town board of trustees that a performing arts center be built at Newell Farm Park so that we may continue to provide music and arts to the citizens of Berthoud year round. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
No, that was last night at Loveland City Council. My name is Michael Stein, and I live at 310 Victoria Street in Fickle Farm, about a mile from Newell Farm. And my wife Carla and I have attended many of the farm concerts, and we've prided ourselves every year at inviting friends both from Berthoud and the area and also from elsewhere. We have friends from Colorado Springs. He's a retired general officer, and they travel all over the world. I mean, their Facebook page looks like a travelogue all the time, but they want us to make sure that when there's a farm concert, they're sitting with us because of the ambiance and because of the feel of that place. And that's an experience that I'd like to see expanded and see others in the community be able to take part of. The other thing I would say is there's not a lot of opportunities for people with families with children to go and hear music. You can there's some great acts at Red Rocks or at Ballerina or whatever, but you have to sell your children to get tickets, so you can't have them with you. And, there's some great venues and bars and that sort of thing. But after a while, it's kind of not always a place where you want your kids to be either. So having an outdoor venue where families can go and maybe have a picnic and the kids can go and ramble and they don't have to sit and fidget, and all that, I think is a real advantage for the entire community as well. And just the opportunity to we moved here 13 years ago, and we've watched Berthoud double in population since we've been here. Obviously, you can't maintain exactly the small town feel or the agricultural field, but every opportunity we have, I think, to glom onto a piece of that and hang on to it is a service to the future generations. So I would urge the town to pursue this in whatever form it comes together and honor the Newell's legacy and also build new legacies for the future. Thank you very much.
Hello. I'm Hannah Alkari. This is Joe Scott. We're Acoustic Avalon. We have to give our address, 310 East Iowa Avenue in Berthoud, in Mary's Farm. We're original owners there, so we've been in Berthoud forever. Long time. And here's the thing, we love being in Berthoud. We love having this as our home base, but we're not here much at all. And most of the time we don't feel like we live here because we live in our van and out on the road. We're touring musicians, and we do this professionally. I've done it for 27 years now together, based out of here in Berthoud. And what we get to see, and the reason I wanted to talk is not just because we're professional musicians. Of course, we want a music venue. It's not actually about that at all. It's about the fact that Joe and I travel to communities all over this country every single year and overseas in Europe. And we get to see what, what like vitality in communities looks like. And it's always based on the fact that they have these community spaces. I mean, the parks and these different ideas, even the golf idea is a cool idea, just those kinds of things. But there's always music involved. And there's always a venue that can be a musical venue year round, or it's a place for, like theaters and gatherings of all different kinds. And the communities, when we roll in and do our concerts, we're in the musical venue, but the communities that have these places and come together, we can tell from backstage, because the audience will be like, oh, hey, good to see you. Hey, how are you? Like there's this vibe and this community, and they get to see each other. And we come out and they're kind of like, oh, right, we should pay attention. I mean, we love that when there's sort of the chatter going on, because you can tell that that's a community that values, what they have and what they're doing. And the farm concert has been that. But I think Berthoud has the ability to be this, especially now that we're growing. I think it's awesome. And we see lots of models of this that we could give lots of feedback for as this concept comes into being. So anyway, we just wanted to say thanks for being our hometown.
Just to your point on that.
Yeah.
So that was immediately was thinking in my head is you guys would be great people to provide feedback on. And like, I know you guys laid it out really well, what's needed, but you all probably have some unique perspectives too, being all over the world and seeing like what has worked for you, what hasn't.
Right. We do. So, and what is provided, and it doesn't have to be much, but there has to be some infrastructure. We have played at venues where we've had to change in the car. We don't tend to go back. There's truth to that. So someday it doesn't have to be like, marble and glass and all the fancy. That's great, but it's not what it's about. But yeah, we'd be happy to be, another source of feedback for this. So thanks for considering it. Thank
you. I want to address Ms. Murphy. You asked a question a while. You said a while ago that, by the way, I'm Vance Bunker, 1110 4th Street. I'm a 10 or 11 year veteran of the farm concert. And like you, I don't like going to concerts. I hate being around a bunch of noise and all the people, and the magic of the farm concert is pretty much hard to explain. When you see Don Edwards, who's now gone, sing the Coyote song, the last song of the concert, and the moon's up, and there's been some really magical stuff happen out there, and it's really not a concert. You're just hanging out in the park, and Butch does a fabulous job with the sound, so it's not blaring. You can talk to the person next to you. That's what needs to continue out there. It is a very pleasant experience. I won't go to normal concerts, but I will go to that one. So.
Yeah, I'm one of the ones that has the kids. That's the problem. Why I don't go a lot.
You'll
so.
have to stay in the periphery.
I think this might be a little short for me. My name is Mark French, and I live at 2022 French Hill Drive. That's south of town, so I'm one of the local rustics. I'd like to thank all of you people for being on this board committee. I've been a 25-year volunteer for the Historical Society. I understand the sacrifice that you make to do this, and this is an important decision. Let's get it done. Butch and Sarah have proved that this works. The first event in this town in the 1890s was a dance at the grain elevator. And here we are in 2025, Butch and Sarah still making it happen. It's time to do it. I'm a 74-year-old resident of this community. It's time. And it's in your hands. Let's make this happen.
Any other public comment? that, and then basically we move forward with whether the committee would encourage moving forward with conceptual plans. Is that the next step?
I'll make the motion. I move that the port committee recommends to move forward with the conceptual design.
I was gonna second.
Too slow.
Yeah, I'll third.
There you go.
Great.
Everyone's in favor?
I think are you in favor?
Yes.
And we know that Carolyn is, in
Yep.
her absence, she was in favor of moving forward.
Okay.
And Callie, in favor?
Yes.
And I'm in favor. So I think that, unanimously we would say to have the board move forward with conceptual design, or have the town move forward with conceptual designs.
Okay. That's
All
good.
right.
And then,
Not to change the vote, but we didn't address whether the conceptual plan includes the traffic plan. It will include parking, but
It has
we're,
to.
we're
It
very,
has to, okay,
yeah,
right.
we're very early on all that. So, to kind of end it, I just wanted to get any general feedback from Port on types of venues and stuff that they like and they've heard, and maybe this place reminds them of. I put a few of them together to kind of share some ideas on venues around Colorado and size-wise, and maybe some of you have been there and seen these. But Chautauqua, capacity 1,300, that's down in Boulder. Dillon Amphitheater, just threw this out here, as that's 3,600 people. That one fits, if you've ever been out there. But I think what you also get is the picture of here they have like a loading dock and stuff in the back and things like that. There's a park around it. I think with any of these places you look at, I don't know what code really requires when you build a place at this time. I haven't talked with consultants about it, but when you build something, do you need parking for everything? Because a lot of these places offer buses to them, and different styles of ways to get to the venue. So I don't know all the rules that are, and it's because some of these venues are older and I don't think neighborhoods were around them at that time. So Dillon's newer, and it does have some parking here, but yeah, a lot of people in that community, I think, walk or bike to it that are staying nearby. Chewacca, it's kind of like an outdoor venue. 950 people in there. Gardens at Spring Creek, 1,500 capacity. And then if there's indoor venues going on, the Lincoln Center in Fort Collins, 2,500 people. Rialto's 478 people. And then what did we don't have, I would say, we don't have we have some event spaces in plans. They're not designed as being full-on music outfits, but it's places that can handle some events. At the Arboretum, we have an event lawn, and that can probably have 700 to 1,000 people on that lawn. The design of the pavilion has a little band shell in it, of course, but we don't have dressing rooms and things like that, or anything like that. Town Park Phase 2 has a lawn, and pretty much like the auditorium, it just has a pavilion that's going to be a picnic pavilion the majority of the time. But if birthday days in Town Park and they want to not have to bring a stage in and set it in the parking lot, they can utilize the pavilion, which could act like a stage. And that way, we're trying to make these places set up to handle. Town Park's even set up for like food trucks to come up in the middle and other little things like that. So those are kind of some event spaces we have, and possibly, the Arboretum's, I think, something helps that moves forward. It seems like from the feedback we're receiving, that's something that could move forward next year. Town Park Phase 2 is a ways out and requires other things to be built before it can be built. So, but just to give you an idea of other things we have. So if you guys have some general comments to share, that way when we start talking to consultants, we can be like, okay, we heard these things early on. You guys can do that.
Well, I have a comment on, I lived in Steamboat Springs for 14 years, and their free town concert series every summer was hugely successful. And what I remember about living there was everybody I knew, town residents, we rode our bikes. And when you got to the venue, the bike parking garage was larger than the parking. And I don't think most of us in town would have gotten in a car to drive a half mile. So I think access for locals to walk and bike is really important. You know, and it also addresses a safety issue. I don't know if there's going to be alcohol served or not there, but, you know, people who do intend to consume alcohol will choose to bike or walk instead. That's just my experience in Steamboat Springs. It was at least half the attendees arrived via the bike path. And that was about, yeah, they had volunteers. It was a bike garage. It was open air that had some temporary fencing around it, and they had volunteers that just walked around the outside.
Was that just in a park, or was it?
They held it, it alternated between Howelson Hill, which is the town ski area, and Mount Werner, which was the other ski area, and both are served by the bike path. But I mean, that was honestly part of the experience, is let's all get on our bikes, put our picnics in the panniers, and go to the concert. You know, driving someplace, you know, at my age, it's like that's sometimes the turn off towards attending something that's only a mile or two away.
A note on that as well, Keith, something to think, because it's come up in the past few trustee meetings, is possibility for golf cart parking or something like that, which would be separate from the vehicle parking.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see some different designs in terms of the options and what the, kind of like we've done with some other things, like different cost points, and see what we can do in those. You know, what's the super great everything included option versus kind of those pared down options, just to see what different things we can look at.
Okay.
I'm really excited about the idea of having, like, I love these concepts also, for the Arboretum and the Town Park Phase 2, but I'm really excited about, like, a dedicated music venue to bring in some real people, and, like, that is my jam, so that's what I'm here for.
Shade's a big one for me. You kind of pulled on my heartstrings a little bit there. And honestly, having a lawn space, don't hate me for being a transplant. I'm from the East Coast. So out in the East Coast, a lot of concert venues, you have lawns and you get that communal feel. That is something that is very hard to find in Colorado. And tying it not only to the space, but then also the community history, the views. Really, it's a very full package turnkey option. So I'm very excited about it. Thank you very much for your presentation on it.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to throw any more shade on the shade. So, trees. We haven't really talked about trees, but I would imagine that would be a consideration. Obviously, the best time to plant trees is yesterday, but to help with the shade in the future. So the temporary thing, I think you mentioned that a little bit, but that would be good. And also, I just wanted to comment. I feel like we talked about Newell Farm Park and we kind of threw out some ideas, but like just having this group here, and it seems like it's all coalesced around this, the music, the arts, that theme. So and that's what you guys want, and that's what the community wants too. So it seems like things are coming together with that part of the vision. And so thanks to you guys too, Sarah and Butch, for helping bring the vision forward so we can all see from your perspective.
I just one comment, just reiterating something I said earlier, but when we're comparing the other event spaces in town and an amphitheater out there, again, I think that the quality of the music and the acoustics, the experience with music is quite different than what is the possibilities are at the other event spaces. And, you know, older people with older ears, we know what good sound systems are and good acoustics are at an outdoor event. And, you know, that the kids don't care, but I think it really stands apart from other event spaces if it's presented that, you know, it's quality music, a quality music experience.
This is a point of reference. In 22 years, no one has ever come up and asked us to shut it down. So, you know, I'm very conscious of that. I hate live concerts. I've done some work in some of the mega churches in the Front Range, what I refer to as the Jesus warehouses, where all they want is volume. They put in these ginormous sound systems and smoke bombs, all that kind of stuff. And I've walked away from those jobs because they're too loud. And that's not what music is about. You know, music is not about life. If you have music up that loud, it's generally because it's not that good. You know, good music doesn't have to be loud.
Caro?
You guys might have addressed this in your presentation, and I can ask this question at a later date, but I'm thinking about it now. Are you envisioning that the current stage be left open for maybe like a side stage or for smaller, so that is not going to be changed? That's still going to be an active stage. Mm-hmm.
Anything before we close on that? Okay. Keith, did you get the information you needed from us?
I did.
Okay.
That's good. I'm hoping we got to kind of put this out for bids with consultants and come back to you in hopefully a couple months would be nice.
Okay. Are we good to move on to staff updates?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Back.
Not at all.
These are quick.
This is all
Back to
public.
the
You can
boring
leave if
stuff.
you
You
want.
can
though.
leave
You don't
whenever
have to.
you
you
can
want.
leave if you like.
You're not.
It's not all that interesting.
You're not bound to the.
All right. A few of you have terms expiring. So,
Carolyn and I.
Carolyn, Lauren, and I think Sean's technically is too. So,
Oh, did he come in half term?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm confirming, but yeah, you have to reapply by August 28th, and then go through the interview process in September, and then, yeah, if you're chosen, you'll be back in October, I guess.
And we can reapply? I didn't know if there was like
Is there
term
term
limits.
You get three terms.
3 terms of 2 years each.
Yes, and if you came in and filled someone's seat, I don't think that counts as a
Yeah,
term.
you just get 3 more after that.
Yeah.
So I came in and filled a seat, but it was like a month into the term.
Yeah, so I think I asked Christian to confirm
Okay.
everything, and then he'll send out.
I was
I'll send
interested
out
in
an email
staying
to
on, I
y'all
just didn't
to.
know I didn't know if I was allowed
If you're
to.
going to be kicked out,
Yeah.
you've reached
It
your
was that
term
whole
limit.
third term thing.
As long as you're under 90.
Yeah.
I'll send out a reminder email, and
Okay.
the application is online, and
Yep.
yeah.
Done it a
We'll have
couple
to see. I'll need a port member, at least one port member, to sit in then on the interviews, because
3 of us will be up. for-
Lauren and Carolyn will be possibly re-interviewing. So, yeah.
I'm happy to do it if no one else wants to do it.
Okay.
I can whatever.
You can put me on the list too.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Got it. I think it's
one of us can be available.
one port member and then 2 board members, I think, is the interview committee. So, cool. All right. Trying to think of any bigger updates. The trail, I mean, we're waiting on the signal pieces still for the North Trail. the North Trail on North Bertha Parkway.
Can I actually ask a question on that one?
Yep.
Is there any possibility or intent to protect the shoulder?
Yeah, we do have Jersey barriers
Where I'm
coming
talking
in.
about Where that it goes
Yeah.
over the irrigation ditch, yeah.
There will be concrete Jersey barriers that basically go down the whole length of the bridge.
Okay.
And we have those coming in a week or two as well. So we'll get those put up.
Did you call them Jersey barriers?
Yeah, concrete Jersey barriers. I don't know why they're called like that.
It's the highway things, right? The big chunks of concrete.
They'll be concrete,
Yeah.
thousands of pounds. Yeah. And then, so yeah, they told us the signal they expected to be back, the parts to be here mid-August, and then the goal is to put it up as soon as they get and then you'd have the signal up. We'll see when the Jersey barriers how that works out. Hopefully that's done this month too. I think that's the only major project that's going on port-wise. That's it then. That's all I got. Oh. Yeah.
Oh. And then committee updates? Carrie? Nope. I wanted to say, we attended, we always try to get to all the town events, but the 3rd of July was awesome, as it always is, and it was a fun event, and, you know, I think we saw, I don't know what the final numbers were, but it was impressively large. 18,000.
And the comment that was made as well, sorry to interrupt, but the comment that was made also was that was probably not including kids that don't have cell phones.
Sure.
Right, so it was just cell phone pings, period. 18,000 cell phone pings.
Oh, wow. It was, we appreciate that we're within walking distance, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the farmers market, I've been several times this summer, and it's been great. It has been, I know that's kind of been a struggle, and getting vendors and people, and I think with the park right there, it's such a nice kind of, you see so many families there, and then they're kind of wandering over and buying things, and it's just, it feels really great. I thought that has been a nice change. And not that Fickle Park wasn't, it just didn't have the draw of like the park and that piece of it. So I think that's been a great community event as well. Anna?
Nothing.
Callie?
I had a question that was maybe, I looked on the website for a map of the property next to Hillsdale was acquired. Is that on the website or?
I don't think it's been acquired yet. The Wilson property is what we call it.
You're
To
calling
the
it the
south.
Wilson to the south, yeah.
It's under negotiation.
Oh,
unless
okay.
I'm wrong. It's still trying to figure out
okay.
like what the owner is willing to sell, what they might
Oh,
make
okay. I
compromises
can't remember where I
with.
saw that published, but it did, at least I took away, it was, the acquisition was done. So
Not
that was premature, okay.
Not to my knowledge, but at the last I heard they were in not finalized negotiations, but they were seriously negotiating. Like I'm not going to say anything I shouldn't I'm not supposed to. But yeah, to my knowledge, it hasn't not yet been put under contract because there's final negotiations on how much, what the cost is, what are the uses, that sort of thing.
Thank you. Carl, any updates from the board?
No updates. I did have a question for you guys based on the golf course presentation. Did you guys tell me or infer that you wanted me to say or to recommend that the board move forward with some sort of feasibility study, or is it just kind of something that you would like to move through a little bit more organically as the gentleman continues to talk with staff?
I mean, from my standpoint, it looks like there's been a lot of conversation and kind of those talks a little bit, which is great. Like that's, sometimes we see these plans like Jaskowski where we're taking it from the ground up, and this felt like there was a little more meat to it and kind of better ideas. I think everybody can kind of say their piece in terms of if they would like to move forward with that. I personally, as a would recommend moving forward with those ideas. It was funny because it did come to my mind last week when I was making tea times in Longmont and negotiating which parent was going to pick up here and take kids to Longmont and which one was going to pick up, and just those kind of things, how nice it would be. And I in the back of my mind, I was thinking, who knows, like those might not be profitable or, even feasible things or money losers or who knows what that looks like. But so I'm in favor of moving forward with it.
May I suggest having Jeffrey come to the town board meeting and presenting in one way, shape, or form, just so the board members are informed of that's part of the whole thing, potential Knievel or wherever. Just so when you guys have discussions about prioritization of all these, that could be part of it, or at least in the back of everyone's mind.
So, sir, would you mind contacting me, and then I will, if I'm correct, I will recommend that.
Can we recommend to have Jeffrey come to?
That's what I'm going for.
You want to make that motion? You want to make it?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Yes, there we
I'll
go.
second it.
Okay.
Lauren
All right.
seconds.
So, sir, can you continue to work with staff, and I will make a recommendation to the board the next time we have reports that staff talk with you and put you on an upcoming agenda, if you're okay with that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And at the next board meeting, Tuesday, we are taking the Jaskowski concept to the board to put out for their feedback. They haven't got a chance to offer their feedback yet. We've been talking with Colorado Open Lands for a while about the property. It's went through a couple different workers there, but we're pretty much taking it as the port suggestions of disc golf. And then if you can help me further for the golf, or not the golf, the dog training. Is Port's feedback to continue looking into the possibility of dog training, or
Yes.
I know there's just an interest to keep it on the property because that's what the property said, so something like that, right?
Yes, it's in the minutes, but it was to look into the possibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And then after that, we are going to share a park project update, like where's everything at, with all our projects, and what do we think things cost. And I think there's an update with the outdoor pool in that. I'm not presenting that one, but whether there's a design consultant quote that we have for it.
That's next Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you say it's going to be comprehensive, looking at all properties?
A handful of them.
Projects.
I think
Okay.
some of like the near future ones. I'm sure we'll bring up. Usually, we always talk about the 2018 master plan, which has a handful of few properties. Paths, so.
Get a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
A second.
Second.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Lauren. Thank you, Kelly. I owe you big time.
That's all right.
I owe you big time.
That's okay. You do it a lot.